We're about to say the last kinnah of our Tisha B'Av experience. Since last night, we've been sitting on floors, thinking about painful and tragic things that have happened to the Jewish people, and now it's coming to an end. At 12:44 is Chatzos, is midday, and at that point, things start changing. We're going to get up, we're going to be able to sit on chairs, and it's clear that the trajectory is, starting from 12:44, that Hashem is saying, okay, you've reflected on pain enough, it's time to get up and to start moving in an upwards direction. In the Beis HaMikdash, the Holy of Holies contained the Aron, the Ark. And on the Ark were two figurines, two golden forms called the Kruvim. And the sources in the Torah, actually in the Navi, contradict each other. Some sources say that the Kruvim faced each other on top of the Aron, and some sources say that the Kruvim faced away from each other on top of the Aron. The Gemara resolves this contradiction and says that there was actually a miracle. Is that when the Jewish people were doing the will of Hashem, the Kruvim faced each other and embraced. And when the Jewish people were not doing the will of Hashem, then the Kruvim faced away from each other as reflective of the distance between Hashem and his people. What's surprising, the Rishonim point out, is that the Gemara says that when the enemies of the Jewish people came into the Beis HaMikdash and penetrated all the way to the Kodesh HaKadoshim, they found and they mocked how the Kruvim were hugging each other. And the Meforshim ask, how could that be? Obviously, the Beis HaMikdash is being destroyed because the Jewish people are not fulfilling the will of Hashem. So how could it be that at that moment, the Kruvim were embracing each other and hugging? So the Lubavitcher Rebbe gives an amazing answer to this question that I would like to basically capture through a personal story. One of my children, when they were 2 years old, had a very complicated dental situation. And needed substantial oral surgery, which is complicated for a 2-year-old. So when we went to get the procedure, the oral surgeon actually said, it was hard and the child was scared, and getting in definitely the Novocaine was going to be painful. So she told me that while she did the procedure, it was okay that I hold my son on my lap. So I was on the dental chair, I was holding my son, and she began to treat him, put in the Novocaine. It was very hard, it was painful, but after a while, it started to numb his mouth, and she began the procedure. His mouth was propped open with a lot of gadgets, and he remained on my lap throughout the procedure. After a while, I saw he started to wince. And it seemed like he started to be in pain. Started reaching up towards the area where she was doing the work. And he couldn't talk, but something was bothering him. It became clear to me after a few moments or maybe minutes that the Novocaine must be wearing off. There was clearly a change. He was in pain and he was suffering. And I said to the dentist, the oral surgeon, I said, I think the Novocaine is wearing off. Can you put in more Novocaine to numb his pain? And she said, I'm at a very critical point in the procedure. To pause now to give more Novocaine would not be wise. Therefore, I want you to hold him down. And so there I was, and I removed my hands from on the bottom of my son to now on top of him, holding down his hands as she finished the procedure, and he was going through this pain. And he was, just a few inches away from my face. I looked down in his eyes. He was looking in my eyes. And I saw the pain that he was going through at those moments. But I also saw something else. I saw him looking back in my eyes and asking me with his stare, Tati, what are you doing? Why are you causing me this pain? Why are you helping this lady that's causing me pain? Why are you holding me down and stopping me from breaking free of this pain? What are you doing? And I tried to hold back my own tears, but it was impossible. And I stared at him. He was crying. I was crying till the procedure ended. Now, the moment that procedure ended, she said, you could let go. What happened? Did he scream at me? Did he hit me for causing him that pain? The immediate subconscious reaction was, gave me the tightest hug that he had ever given me. The Lubavitcher Rebbe explains that there are two types of love. Because love of the heart and love of the mind. The love of the heart are feelings, emotions that we have. It can be from something as simple as feeling good about loving chocolate to something more profound than even loving another person. It's feelings that we have that make us feel good. But when the Torah describes the deepest of love, when it describes the intimacy between a husband and wife, Adam Yada as Chava uses the term Yediyah, knowledge. There's a heart that comes not from, a love that comes not from our heart, but actually is rooted in our mind. It's a love that is based on understanding the virtues and values of another person, of being committed to that other person, and the emotions flow from the mind, not from the heart. A person with love of the heart towards their son would look at their son at that moment and say, he's in pain, stop his pain, don't you love him? And that's what my feelings wanted to do. But a deeper love, a love of the mind, told me is that the best thing that I could do for my son right now is to hold him down and go through that painful experience. And there was a subconscious part of my son that knew that that's what was happening. Even as a 2-year-old, he understood that if Abba is holding me down and making me go through that pain, he didn't jump up with hatred. He didn't come back hitting me, screaming me. He came back with a profoundly strong hug because deep down he knew that if something like that is happening, that makes no sense and no understanding, if I'm going through that pain, it actually testifies to how much love must be there, because it doesn't make sense otherwise. It must be from something so much more profound and deep. And Hashem, our Father who loves us so, so much and so unconditionally, puts us through things in our lives that are painful. Some we merit to understand, most we don't. And sometimes it's to the degree that we don't understand it. And the degree that it is so much more painful almost tells us that it must be coming from such a deep place. It's because his love for us is so profound. And it's going to bring us towards greater attachment to him and to greater fixing of ourselves. That's the only possible reason. So the degree of that pain could actually be, the more the pain, the more profound it attests to the love. During those moments when the enemies of the Jewish people came into the Beis HaMikdash and the pain was right and left for the Jewish people, Hashem, in the deepest of places, in the Holy of Holies, in the most hidden of places, told the Jewish people, it's coming from love. On the outside, externally, it's pain. But on the deepest place, I'm giving, not just looking at you face to face, I'm embracing you and hugging you. If I did not love you so much, I would not let you go through much pain. If I only loved you a little bit, I'd let you free. I don't want to cause you pain. After last night and today, we focus on that pain. We have to realize that Hashem loves us so much, and all of that pain, past, present, is all for the purpose of creating, in the end of the day, a closer connection, ultimately bringing that Beis HaMikdash and ultimately fixing ourselves. Where do we go from here? What do we need to do? The sages really tell us exactly, the prophets really tell us exactly. It's not like so mysterious. The Jewish people need to do tshuva. Tshuva begins with us ourselves, and then it continues with us ourselves after having done tshuva, helping as many other people do tshuva as well. When tshuva happens to the Jewish people, the redemption comes. And what's the biggest block to national tshuva? So the sages tell us it's sinas chinam. It's just hatred amongst the Jewish people. It's the fact that Jewish people can't get along with each other, that Jewish people continue to criticize and speak about negatively about other different Jews or types of Jews or groups of Jews that are different than them. We hurt our friends with our words. We hurt other types of Jews with our words. And we just need to stop hating. We need to love. We need to speak words of love, to stop speaking words of hate, and realize that if we find ourselves hating and with negativity towards others, it means there's a problem in our hearts. It means that we have our own pain, and whether it's psychological challenges or past things that trigger us, or pain of low self-esteem that gets triggered and hurt, we have to take responsibility. And if we find ourselves hurting other people, being negative to other people, saying things that hurt other people's feelings, we have to take responsibility to figure out how to make sure to stop that. And Mirz Hashem, with the Avas, Yisrael, and the love of other people that could help us to get over our blocks so that we could do tshuva, and we could be powerful forces by spreading love, spreading Avas Hashem, and helping other people do tshuva. And Mirz Hashem, as more and more and more Jewish people do tshuva, we'll merit to see the tikkun that comes from all this pain, and the special close and relationship, and be able to be embraced by Hashem fully and clearly. Eli Tzion is the final kinnah. We stand and we sing it together. It's on page 390.